Hi, loves. It's Rose right here. Hope you're all doing good. And I'm back with another review. And we're going to talk about The Defender by Ana Huang today. And this book was released like just this Tuesday. And I binge read it in like 4 to 5 hours. And I enjoyed it a lot. But today I'm going to do a whole review about the book. And we're going to have like two sections, one with no spoilers at all. I will just talk about this book like in a few minutes and let you know if it's good enough for you to read it or not, so you don't have to like waste your time. And then we'll have a section with like spoilers, full spoilers, everything about the book, what I liked, what I didn't like, what is missing, and so on. And in order, we're going to talk about the characters, the plot, the pacing, storytelling, creativity, and the humor, and everything. And I have my little notebook over here, and I've written everything about this book. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at this notebook. And without further ado, let's begin. So, The Defender is the second book in the Gods of the Game series. We just had The Striker last year. It was such a good book. I liked it, but I'm not gonna lie, I love this one so much more. It was so much better, in my opinion. The Striker was a little too long for my taste, and I think I did a full review on my Instagram stories if you want to check that out. But yes, I enjoyed this one a lot more. So the book is in dual point of view, and the trope is forced romance. I cannot think of any other trope for this book. You cannot call it an enemies to lovers, to be honest, because they're not enemies. They don't like each other and they're on each other's nerves, but for the fact that they like each other. So they're not really enemies, if you know what I mean. But you could call it that if you want to, but I am not going to call it an enemies to lovers. It's just a forced romance, and that's it. And I would like you to know that this book doesn't really contain much about the sports. It's mostly about the romance. We just have like a few chapters about the sports, like maybe two or three at most. So, yeah, if that's something that you would consider before reading the book. So, first, I'm going to talk about the characters separately and them together. And I'm not going to share any spoilers, but then after that, we will have the non spoiler review for like a few minutes, and then we'll move on to the spoiler section. So, if you want it with like no spoiler or spoilers, you can watch this part because I'm just going to talk about the characters for now. So we have Brooklyn Armstrong, which is the FMC of this book, and Vincent Dubois, who's the MMC. And Brooklyn is a nutritionist for the football team that Vincent is a captain of. He's a captain of the Black Castle Football Club, and she works there as a nutritionist, and she's also the daughter of the legendary coach of this football club. So Brooklyn is coach's daughter, and yes, that is like very dangerous for Vincent. But Brooklyn is very funny. She has an attitude for Vincent. She's also very sensitive, but she doesn't show it much. She's very strong and independent and resilient, you could say. And Brooklyn deals with some family issues, like from her mom's side and her dad's side. Her parents are divorced and they live separately. So we see her like work through all that emotions and mental issues. So if you're someone who's into that and you would like to read about that, I think Brooklyn's point of view was very interesting, and how she handled like all of it was so good. I really like that part. And as we know from the previous book, Vincent and Scarlett, his sister, they're both adopted. We really didn't know much about like the birth parents of Scarlett, but in this book, we're going to know more about Vincent's real birth parents and how Vincent dealt with all this trauma and mental health issues, and how he worked through it like step by step. Also, with Brooklyn's help, it was very interesting. If you're someone who's into that, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And about Vincent and Brooklyn, I want you to know that they're both individually interesting. Like they are both going through something and they have to work through it and handle it on their own. So they're separately interesting characters, which is like so important to me. I hate it when characters are they have like no characteristics individually and they're just good together in a book. But in this one, that's not the case. They're both interesting. They like go through different things and we read about it, and then together there just comes another vibe. Like together the banters and the tension is insane, the chemistry is also insane, and the conversations between them are so funny, and like I had so much fun reading about them. So yeah, there's that. I really enjoyed them together. They had like no communication issues. They could talk to each other really well. I mean, at some points there were like a little communication issues, but like that was not a problem really. And if you're someone who's interested in yearning as much as I am, um, I don't think there's much yearning in this book, even though it is mentioned that Vincent is yearning for Brooklyn, and yes, he is, and he has to stay away, and he cannot get close to her because she's a coach's daughter, and she's like Scarlett's best friend. But still, I don't think the yearning is like that good. It's just like the, this much yearning. You know what I mean? But it was still enjoyable. And let's go and talk about the book with no spoilers for a few minutes before we start. Welcome to the non-spoiler section of the video. Again, I talked about the characters just a little before, and I will mention it again that the characters are interesting individually and together if that's something that you're concerned about. And I talked about like what they're dealing with. Just be careful that this book is also talking about stalkers and how people with fame, like celebrities, football players like Vincent, go through it, and how scary that can be, how creepy it can be. So I'm going to summarize the plot with no spoilers, just so you can know what the book is about. So as we know, Brooklyn is a nutritionist in the Black Castle Football Club, in which Vincent plays at, and he's the captain, and he's also like the one of the most famous players there. And Brooklyn is also his coach's daughter. And for that reason alone, he cannot get close to her. But also, Brooklyn is his sister's best friend, so he's also scared of his sister when she finds out. So, for that alone, he really cannot get close to Brooklyn. Like, she's off limits for him. And in the previous book, we saw that Brooklyn couldn't handle Vincent and his cocky attitude. She cannot tolerate him, and he likes to rile her up. And in this book, it's the same as well. So the story starts with Vincent having a stalker and realizing that he has a stalker, and he's creeped out. And he wants to go and stay at a hotel to be safe, but he cannot because of his fame. And the fans will find him, and it will be chaotic. So he needs a place to stay, and he's looking like between his friends and sisters and everyone, just looking for a place to stay. And in the end, he will realize that Brooklyn has like a separate extra room in her house, which she wanted to rent out anyways. So he goes there by convincing Brooklyn, and the conversation is interesting itself. And he has to make sure that the coach doesn't realize that they're staying together, like in the same house. And that's how the story starts. And I would also like to tell you, because I know that so many of you don't like this and are concerned about it, like in this book, the intimate scenes happen like so late, like maybe 300 pages in. And I know some people would find that boring or they don't like it. They like it to happen like so quick. I cannot call this a slow burn really, because they're like living with each other and there's tension. There are like so many banters, and we have some scenes with like more tension. So it's not a slow burn, but 300 pages in until the first kiss is a lot. So if that's something that you're concerned about, I would like to you to know that. But I would also like you to know about the fact that those 300 pages like are filled with scenes of them together, riling each other up. So you will not get bored really, and the plot is interesting enough to take you there. So I would recommend you to not skip it if you're not a fan of something like that. I think it's interesting enough to wait 300 pages until you get there. So, yes, I think I have mentioned all the important notes that I had to mention, but then again, I would like to remind you that this is not a boring book, but still, there is like nothing really special and unique about it. Honestly, it's like it could be like any other sports romance book, and it's just as enjoyable as the rest. And there's nothing new about the plot or anything, but if you're interested about everything that I said, I think it's like a good book to read, and it's not a waste of time at all. Oh, and I would like to also remind you that there are spicy scenes, and I will mention the chapters and the caption below. So if that's not something you're interested about, you can skip those chapters. But if that is something that you're interested about, the spicy scenes were incredible, like so good. I like the spicy scenes even more than some of the previous books of Ana Huang, like maybe after King of Wrath or King of Pride. Yeah, the spice was really good. The spice was spicing. Enjoy! Now, welcome to the spoiler section of the video. Now I'm going to talk about the book in like full detail. So if you don't want to know about it, please skip because you are going to be spoiled. So first, we're going to talk about the plot. And the plot concerning the characters, as I said, they're individually like very interesting to read about, but then again, together they're like so interesting to read about as well. But something that I liked was that Anna Huang didn't force connection between these two. She was like not forcing the relationship with them, you know? I hate when that happens, like when the author is like forcing them to be with each other. That is not what happened. We could see that they are actually meant to be with each other, like they suit each other so well, and that was so enjoyable for me to read. Like I was rooting for them to be with each other, so that was like really good for me. The plot was interesting enough and it didn't feel bland in like some other sports romance book. Then I could say that there was nothing unique about it, like, oh, he has a stalker, she has a stalker, and then comes a character in the story, which was Mason in this book, and we thought that maybe it could be him, the stalker could be him, but then you should know that it's not somebody else. Some other character, side character that we have been reading about could be it, or sometimes it's a new character, which was Seth in this situation. I guess it was interesting enough and it was keeping us hooked up, but still, there was like no unique story here, but it was still interesting enough. And something that I'm like very curious about when I read books like that are the second book, the third book, or the fourth book in a series, I always try to see if this book would be good as a standalone. If somebody doesn't read the first book, would it still be good? And in this case, it really was, like, because it was even better than the first book. And if you read it as a standalone, you're gonna be so fine. And that is such an important note to me. And I'm so proud of Ana Huang for making it happen. Again, the plot twist was nice, but it was predictable for so many people. I did not actually predict it because I think I was so sleepy that night. I was binge reading the book, but almost all of my friends they had predicted it, so I guess I would have predicted it as well if I wasn't sleepy. And an important note in this book was that we could connect to the characters. We could really see what they were thinking about, what they were feeling about everything said, about everything done. Like with Brooklyn, when her mother was saying those cruel and mean, awful stuff to her, we could see how she was feeling, how it was affecting her. And then with Vincent, we could see how the fact that his birth mother had let him go and never came back for him was affecting him. I like that so much. We connected to the characters so well. So when the book started, I was predicting it to start like this, that they were sitting on a table and Vincent said that I'm looking for a place, and then everybody would be like, oh, Brooklyn has a place, you can go right there. And it was not how it went. And I was like so happy about it because that was like so predictable based off on the teasers. And I was like so happy about that. But instead, Winston had to go to Adil's house, and then whose house was next? I forgot. And then he was thinking about going to Noah. He went to Scarlet and Asher, and then when all of that didn't work out, the Brooklyn situation came in. I know it might look like a very small and unimportant detail, but you're wrong. If it didn't happen this way and it happened the way that I mentioned, it would have been such a boring start. But I'm glad it didn't and it happened like this because this was like so much more interesting. Now, talking about the pacing, again, I don't think it's really a slow burn because they were next to each other like all the time and riling each other up and having these tension and banters and stuff. But then again, like they kissed 300 pages in, so that is a long time. But I'm happy about it. I don't like it when characters, even if like they like each other and they know each other, they just go in for it. Like at the first second, they are with each other, and I'm like so glad that they kissed each other when they know they actually really liked each other, and it wasn't just like sexual tension or lust. They knew that they loved each other by then. And even though I think the whole stalker situation was interesting and well suited for this book, considering the fact that Vincent is a famous character, like he is a famous football player, and celebrities go through that a lot, and it's a very creepy situation. And I'm glad that Anna also showed it in like a very creepy situation, like that stalker was in his house, they were following him around on vacation on his birthday and everything. I kind of like that the stalker was not letting him go, and she showed how it actually feels to have a stalker like that. It is very creepy, and how it affects people. And Vincent was like going crazy over it, so I'm glad that Anna showed it the way that it actually is. But I think pacing wise, it was dragged like a little bit too much. Like it was almost at the end of the book, so maybe it could have ended a little sooner so that we could have some scenes with Vincent and Brooklyn and everyone together. I think it was just dragged a bit too much, but other than that, it was everything was mentioned very well. I loved the storytelling in this book as well. I think no detail was missing, like there were no plot holes, and everything was in its place. Proud of Ana Huang, for real. I'm proud of her. And the side characters in this book were like so good. Scarlett, Asher, Karina, Noah, Adil, all the guys, like everyone was so good, and they were helpful to the characters, like they were helping them individually, and it is also very important in the book for me. And also the creativity and the humor in this book was so good. Like the conversations between Brooklyn and Vincent, they were cracking me up. And like one of the most interesting parts of this book for me were the guys group chat. I will put some of them here for you guys to see if you haven't. And they were like so fun because that that's actually how guys talk to each other. And Adil is so fun, and the fact that Noah was leaving the chat like at every chance that he got was so good, and his comebacks were like so good. I love Adil as well. I wish we had a book for him, but sadly I don't think so. I just think we have like Karina and Noah next. And yeah, I was waiting for these group chats to pop up like at every chapter. That was like such a creative and fun way. And we usually have these chats like in other books as well, but I think in this one it was like much more fun than the others, in my idea. Oh, and one of the things that I was like really, really sad about was the fact that we didn't have like any Twisted or even Kings of Sin's character like cameo, and Hulk was only mentioned. I was waiting for Christian to show up because of the security company and the whole stalker situation, but nothing, nada. But that's okay because I remember like some haters online were saying that Ana Huang keeps bringing up these characters in her new books because nobody would read them if they didn't exist. So I'm glad that people are loving this book even without any of her previous characters showing up. But I really do miss them. I miss Christian the most. He needs to make a cameo like right now. And I'm so excited about the next book, Karina and Noah. I'm excited to know like what's going on with them. Did they know each other before even this friend group? Like what happened? I'm glad that Anna didn't like give us too many details because then the whole story would be spoiled and we would predict everything. I'm sure we'll know more by the teasers next year, but still, like, what is going on with them? What do you guys think? I also think that the writing in this book was so good compared to the Striker. Like, her writing methods, the words she was using, the vocabulary and everything had improved a lot. So I'm really happy about that. I read so many, like, I learned about so many new words in this book. I love it, like, when that happens. So that's it. We're done with the review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you liked it. If you like this book, which book are you most excited for? Karina and Noah's book, The Keeper, or Maya and Sebastian's book, King of Gluttony. Like, I'm not sure which one I'm most excited for, but I cannot wait for this one. Like, I'm really excited, especially because we don't know what is going on between them. Like, what is that letter right there? Who wrote the other one letters? Um, I really want to know. I'm mostly excited for them, but then Noah and Karina, they're very cryptic, so let's see. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I love you all so much. Please let me know which book I should post a review for next. And if you have stayed this long on the video, I have like a little gift for you guys that I'm going to tell you. I'm working on the Netflix trailer for The Defender, and it's going to be long. Like, I'm aiming for 10 minutes, which is new for me because like the last trailer that I did was like 4 to 5 minutes long. And yeah, I'm working for it. I think I will post it like next week, sometime next week. I'm not sure about it, but yes, you guys will be the first to know. I will post it on YouTube first and then on Instagram. And that's it. I love you all. Hope you all have a great day or night wherever you are. See you soon.